You are in a dark room. Torches are the only light you have. The flames lick the ceiling. Your companion lies on the ground dead. The orc turns and stares at you. What do you do? You're next in initiative. What's your step?
I don't know.
I bought you the book. I know this is your first time playing. No pressure. I bought you the book.
I didn't read it.
You read it, right?
No.
Come on. You read it, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Well, it looks like this is a great time to talk about actions. Welcome to the One Shot Tavern. I'm DB Fig. Today, we're going to talk about actions, one of the most common things that you will do as a player or have to handle as a DM. But it's okay. There are a lot of actions that a lot of people know, and some that always seem to kind of slip under and people forget about, which I'm going to cover as many as I possibly can. Just know that actions are not just these set categories that I'm going to cover. There could be custom actions depending on the player character and if there's something very special going on there. Or it could be a very unique scenario depending on what's going on and the action doesn't really fit those set categories, and then you and the DM kind of have to think on the fly on how to handle that specific action. But if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and become one of the first 100 subscribers to the One Shot Tavern. I truly appreciate your support. So, let's get into it. Now, let's talk about the most common thing you could do in combat, and that of course is attacking. Attacking is the most common action to do in combat. Of course, that includes both melee and ranged attacks. But please be aware that your class will determine the type and the amount of attacks that you can do. So when it comes to the action of attack, please understand the difference between being a monk, being a rogue, being a ranger, being a mage, and all the different character classes out there. Because to be very honest, a monk might have 2 or 3 attacks up their sleeve, while someone like a fighter or barbarian, depending on their level, might only have 1 attack. Or their particular build, you might have multiple attacks, but you won't get another action as kind of the trade-off of, doing one thing versus another. So make sure you really understand your character class before you start, attacking willy-nilly and you realize you put yourself in a bad spot. Probably the second most common thing out there is casting a spell. Casting a spell could be as simple as casting Fireball or Magic Missile or a healing spell depending on your class. But again, very much like attacking, you must understand if the spell can be done as a cantrip or can it be done as an action. And if you are going into deep rules, you got to see if you have the materials, if you have to do certain signs in the air, or what you need to do in order to cast that specific spell. Some spells are instantaneous while others are not. Those are all going to be very important aspects to understand about your class and how to use them when the action comes up. Now, let's talk about the dash action. I don't have a graphics for that. When it comes to the dash action, again, it's an action. So let me set the stage. Lava is filling a room. There's a ledge up the hill, and you have only 30 feet of movement. But to get to that ledge, you have to get to 50 feet. So it's your turn. What do? Well, instead of casting a spell or attacking the lava, which you can do. I don't really advise it, but you can do that. But if you want to run away, your character runs their 30 feet, uses their action to run another 30 feet. Just note, once you get to the top of the ledge and you feel safe because the lava's behind you, if you have no more actions and you don't have a bonus action and there's something else there, well, you might be stuck, but at least you got away from the lava, and you got to wait until your, initiative comes around again to take care of whatever situation you found yourself in that time. But dash actions are very common and something that you need to look out for. Disengage is very useful if your character has it available to them. Disengage allows you to back away from an enemy and then move away or do whatever you want from that point forward without having to worry about the bad guy getting that opportunity attack on you. So, if you don't want to get slashed in the back or shot with a spell and you just want to back out of the fight so you can do something else, if you have the disengage option on your character, you can use it as an action. A very, very useful tool. Just know it is not an end-all be-all. If you're incapacitated or you're grappled or some other status, disengage may not come into play, but if it's just a normal one-on-one fighting situation and you're just trying to back away, use disengage if you want to get away quick without having to worry about getting hit in the back. The dodge action is very powerful. This, in short, is how it works. Your initiative comes up. You tell the DM, instead of attacking or doing a multitude of things, one of your actions, if you have multiple actions, is going to be dodge. So that means from that point forward until that initiative cycle happens, anyone who tries to do an attack against you is at disadvantage, and you get advantage on dexterity saving throws. That is amazing. So if you're an especially agile character, a dodge action might be an amazing tactic to get through traps or basically be a distraction or one way or another, or just to save your behind, because dodging might be the difference between getting hit and dying or living to fight another day. So do not underestimate the dodge action. It's one of the most powerful actions you can take. Let's talk about the help action. The help action is extremely useful, and I'm going to tell you right now that the other players will love you if you take this action in proper scenarios. Here, I'm going to give you a scenario right now. The ceiling is coming down, but the door, it's not locked, but it's jammed, and the other character is not too sure if they have the strength to bash down the door, and you guys are really need to get out of there. Well, if you're a big burly barbarian, you're going to be like, well, let me head over there because I have enough movement and I'm going to take an action to help bash open the door. What this does is that as long as you call that action prior to the person you're helping, when that person rolls to do whatever check they need to do, they get advantage, which means they get 2 rolls and they get to pick the higher number out of the 2. Trust me, I've in my games helped out so many people by just saying, hey, I distracted a kobold attacking, or I helped lift a thing up from the sky, or something of that nature. I helped them out to give advantage, because sometimes the dice aren't in your favor. You can have extreme high proficiency in an item and still fail. So having someone help you out is a great way to make sure you get at least a little bit better chance of succeeding. Now, let's talk about the ready action. Ready actions are simply preparing to do an action. It is not holding an action, it's literally telling the DM, for example, hey, I'm going to cast this spell and I'm waiting for a particular goblin to come by. Not any goblin, one particular goblin. And if he comes within my range, I blast him. But if he doesn't come within my range, then I'm going to move out of the way and hide. That way I can hit my target and basically destroy or help or whatever I'm trying to do at that moment. Ready is extremely powerful and brings up great times of roleplay. So imagine again, you're at a trap door, for example, and your party is basically acting as bait, bringing in this giant monster through the hallway, and it's your job to pull that lever. You'll tell the DM before it happens, hey, I'm going to ready an action, I'm going to hold on to that lever, and once my party members cross the threshold and the monster comes coming, I'm going to pull that lever. But if they don't come, or for whatever reason, the monster and the other party members have to duke it out on that trap door, you could sit there and hold the action all day long, or you could just jump down there and help your party out, or whatever scenario that pops up. So ready in action is very, very important. But remember, it's about telling the DM ahead of time what you're trying to do. So remember, if you have an action, you gotta have an idea what happens if that action doesn't happen in that turn. If that monster doesn't come at that trap door, you don't trigger it unless you just want to immediately kill the rest of your party. So those are the things you got to take in consideration. It is open for so much roleplay, open for so much shenanigans. The ready action is a lot of fun. The search action, again, is extremely important. There are going to be scenarios where, while, things are happening, let's say a fight's going on, but you got to find this magical ring, because that's the whole point of the quest. You got to get this magical ring and get out of there. Well, you might be the thief of the group, and it's your job to really look around to find that item. So while the rest of the party is basically holding off whomever they can, it's your job to search. So the search action is literally either rolling a perception check that's going to be focused on wisdom, or an investigation check focused on intelligence, and that's going to be something that you're going to have to do. So remember, anytime an action of search comes up, those are the checks you need to make. The final action is use an object. Using an object is going to be very common in a lot of D&D playthroughs, and there's going to be a lot of times where you need to pull a lever or climb something or do something outside of the norm, actually handling an object. So let me paint the scenario. You're in this tower, your buddies are holding off a bunch of people coming on in, and you're the last one free. You have an action and a bonus action. So you have enough feet to get to the lever. So you run up to the lever and you use an action. You cannot then turn around, pull out your crossbow, and shoot at the bad guys to help your friends, because you already used an action. So depending on your character's build, you might have only one action and one bonus action. So if you use the action to pull down that lever, you can't turn around and go, hey, I'm going to do an attack action, or I'm going to dodge, or use some other type of action. Remember, view any type of actions as points that you use. So if every initiative round you have, let's say, 2 actions and a bonus actions, that means you have 2 separate actions that you could do and then 1 bonus action. So again, it really comes down to the character class and the build and the level of your character at that time. But that's it for actions. Let me know down in the comment section below some of the most fun you've ever had with actions, or scenarios, or very special custom actions that came up in your playthroughs, and how your DM handled that special request. As always, guys, thank you so much for supporting One Shot Tavern. I'm having a lot of fun learning and doing these videos. It's helping me as much as I hope it's helping you guys out. And as always, I hope to see you on the next adventure.